When you talk about SAS selection and who you're choosing to go on the regiment, it's not the fastest, the fittest, the good, best looking. It's the true character of that person. We don't care if you're fat, thin, tall, big. It's about how you react to things.
And within a very short space of time, you can generally say, these three are going to pass and these two aren't.
So what's the ethical screening? Like, how do you screen somebody for their morals? Like, when you, especially with stuff like this?
You know, you don't have to be working with somebody for very long before you get an indication of who they are and their level of suitability. And I think we've spent so long doing this. We've been part of training organisations, DS on selection, DS out in you're constantly assessing people, and you get to know the different types of personalities. And I always say, in the jungle as a DS, you'd have a patrol of 5 or 6, and you stay with that patrol, and you work with them, you know, but you're watching them, you're assessing them the whole time. And within a very short space of time, you can generally say, these three are going to pass and these two aren't. And you'll be with them for 6 weeks or something like that, very up close. But very often, you're absolutely right. On the first few days, you've worked out who's the right personality, the right mindset.
What's the thing that you see and those people you can pinpoint straight away, like these guys are going to pass?
People without an ego, people who are willing to learn, people who are willing to make a mistake, admit it and work through it, as opposed to try and hide it and, you know, bluff it and it wasn't their fault, it was somebody else's. So it's really their character. It's reading what their true characters are. And it's a beautiful thing about when you talk about SAS selection and who you're choosing to go on the regiment. It's not the fastest, the fittest, the good, best looking. It's the true character of that person. We don't care if you're fat, thin, tall, big. It's about how you react to things, how you deal with the situation yourself, how you're able to take it on the chin when you get something wrong and accept that you've got it wrong, but also to come up with a solution. You know, and it might not be a great solution, but at least you'd attempt it. So you're looking at that sort of character, that sort of person, and particularly in something like this, because you're dealing with a lot of cultural issues, political issues, you know, administrative issues and environmental issues. There's a lot to take on board, and some people can't think other than this is how it's got to be done. And I remember the early days of having anti-poachers, people coming in, you'd have X regiment, X whatever, and all you can think of is, yeah, simple, train them to kill a poacher. No. That's not what it's about. It's actually not, that's the opposite to what we really want. It's about, this is true hearts and minds. It's getting people to, this is ours, and love it and do it for the right reasons, and to capture the people that are doing these bad things, to get up the chain of command. And believe it or not, some people just can't get that. They just have not got that character.
I think if you think about the ethos that we had, we worked to, there's 3 elements of that. There's a sense of humour, which you have to have, but humility is such a big one, and integrity. And they're the things you pick up quite quickly. Somebody who has that level of humility to say, I'm not doing very well here, I need to do better, and they've got that honesty, you can always work with. It's people who have this veneer of, you know, trying to look good. We used to have this term called the DS watchers. Those individuals who you can see they're trying to do their very best when they know you're watching, and as soon as you turn away, and we always used to do this, pretend you're not watching them when you are, then you see them slack off, and then you see them do that. When you make a point then of being there, and suddenly they're trying that little bit harder. And I see that now in people. It's just one of those things you pick up, and in the back of your mind you go, okay, it's one of these types of characters who will switch off, not do the right thing, you know, will put the effort in when they think they need to, and that for me is a big thing. It tells you an awful lot about an individual's personality.
Quick interruption from this Billy Billingham interview. If you want to hear more from Billy, an extra 30 minutes has now been uploaded onto our Patreon community. So if you go down below and hit the button, you can sign up now for $1 for early access and additional footage from all of our guests. Let's dive back into the episode.
I think we've spoken years ago on the channel about athletes, working when nobody's watching, and I can't remember who said that. There's an athlete who said that, but working when you're in the gym by yourself, like what is your character then? Like, what's your work ethic then? Not when the coach is watching, not when you've got a crowd in front of you.
You're pushing yourself because you know that what you're doing is right, not what you think everybody else wants to. I think some people grow up from being kids. You sort of learn this survival thing as a child, how to fit in, and some people, they grow a sense of humour. I can make people laugh, or I can be a clown, or if I bluff, people will believe me. And it's those bluffers who've got through life, and I've seen these as rangers, and I've seen them in other walks of life where you pick up on this quite quickly, where they have this sort of overbearing confidence, and they sort of want to get close, and they're talking about helping. I can do this and I've done that, and you think, okay, that's great, yeah, you really are confident, but it's a little bit later on where you see them, and tracking's a great one to assess people because you're now out on your own. And you pick up on these characters every now and then, the ones who really aren't confident, and they will lose the track very quickly because we work with 2 trackers, and the next one will pick it up. They can, okay, so you're and they'll go off and search an area where they know they won't find it because they don't want to be following it, because they know that they're not really confident. But you can see they've kind of got through life convincing people that they're better than they are by just talking confidently, and people generally believe them. So you have to get under their skin a little bit and really. And these are the characters that we see amongst us, like all the time. And that's how they
exactly
survive.
that. It's that finding their true character, and you find it generally spending time with them, being in difficult situations, deprived of food, deprived of sleep, wet, cold, uncomfortable. And, and that's why selection search is good for picking the right character. You see who people really are. Most people don't even know themselves because they haven't had to be in that situation. But when they're in there, that's when you can choose that they're the right people who can be adapted to the role that you want them to do, knowing that you're going to get honesty and integrity. That's the key thing, and going to get the job done to the best of their ability. Because no one's perfect, we're all still going to make mistakes, but at least when someone's owning up to it, you can do something about it. When somebody's bluffing it. I've heard people, talk about a situation that I've been involved in myself and sell it better than me, and I was there, I'm like, hang on a minute. People listening go, he's so confident to speak, but I actually know that bloke's an absolute tosspot. My other benchmark for me is spending time with them, putting them in situations that are uncomfortable. But for me, having a beer with them as well. When I've had a beer with somebody, some people I know not everybody drinks, but most people do. And I like people who drink. And I've had so many people thought, that guy's on the ball. And then I've had a beer with him, I'm like, holy shit, somebody just poured water on a fucking gremlin. That ain't the bloke I was at the bar with 10 minutes ago, because unfortunately, in our world as well, people have to have a drink and chill out. And you just need to know that, they're not going to turn into an absolute raving lunatic and undo all the hard work you've done over a frigging beer. So they're my benchmarks. All the stuff, the ethos of the regiment that we've learned for years, honesty, integrity, humour. Sense of humour is paramount. You've got to be able to laugh at yourself and laugh at other people. It
absolutely works, doesn't it?
Yeah. That dark sense of humour is deep within the military, and a lot of people outside of it don't get it, but it's so key to knowing who people really are and how they're going to react to something,
Is selection enough to weed anybody out?
No, you'll always get somebody who's slipped through the net, as they say. That's the key word they use, someone slipped, but you won't, you'll get caught. It's a matter of time, because selection is only 6 months. 6 months is a long time of fields. Not really. You will get 98% of the right, but there's always a 1-2% at the end. But that gets found out later on, because what you're stepping into in the regiment is a whole world an old world of things you've got to deal with. You ain't going to be able to hide,
Right,
pressure. couldn't think of the word. You're stepping into an old world of pressure, and you can't hide it now. This is real. You bluffed your way to there. Now your bluff now is going to get people killed, or you killed, or a lot of people indirectly killed, or going to change a policy in the world or somewhere that is going to affect everybody and everything. That's the level of stuff, craziness.
There used to be a system, wasn't there? And I've known it's very rarely that the regiment gets it wrong, but when they do, when there was somebody came through on my selection, who was there was some question marks over how he passed, because we got to know him quite well. So what the regiment does, that individual will come to a squadron. There'll be some questions raised. So just to make sure that it's not a personality clash or something like that, that person will then go to another squadron to say, you assess this individual and see how you get on. And generally within a very short space of time, they'll say, no, this guy's not, he ain't for it. Nice person, he's done very, very well, but for whatever reason, he's going to have to go. And then they're invited to leave, go back to their own unit.
But no matter what standard or position you finish selection, everybody's on probation anyway. For I won't say how long, but a period of time.
Right, okay.
And there are many people gone. Past selection, only been there, but all of a sudden they've shown a flaw in the character that we didn't pick up, or it's all of a sudden changed now. They've managed to get to that point, and it's there's nowhere to hide. You're done. You're out. You're gone.